Beats has always been kind of Apple's playgrounds for experimenting with wireless headphones. In fact, even when Apple first introduced AirPods in 2016, they announced it alongside Beats X, which were still kind of connected by a wire, but they didn't have a wire going to your phone, and they were cheaper than AirPods, although I don't think they sold as well. And now it seems like Apple is so confident in the success of AirPods that they're willing to bring a lot of pro features by Apple standards into much more affordable versions of Beats that are cheaper than every pair of AirPods. So where do they make the compromises, and will this start cannibalizing AirPods sales? Probably not, but let's begin. I'm typically not a huge Beats fan, although I do think they sometimes get a bit more criticism than they deserve. Every pair of Beats headphones that I've tried, I've enjoyed quite a bit. I liked Beats X when I tried them out. I thought the sound quality was good. A few years ago, I tried out Power Beats Pro, which were the closest to AirPods ever because they had a truly wireless design. I just thought that name was stupid if the case itself doesn't support wireless charging, but they had that overarching ear attachment, which made it fixate in your ears really well, and like they weren't gonna fall out. But the case itself was quite large, and most of my issues with those headphones came with the case that you had to charge them and take around with you. But the sound quality was good, and I was happy with that. And I'm not a big fan of over-ear headphones, so I've never in-depth reviewed one of those. I know a lot of people hate the Beats sound quality. A lot think they're way too heavy on the bass. I'm not really a audiophile in that type of regard, so I've never tried on a Beats over-ear pair and thought, yeah, this is disgusting. But the Beats Studio Buds that recently got announced are really intriguing to me, because now for the first time they're doing another truly wireless earbud design that goes into a pretty small, pretty compact charging case, except these now have active noise cancellation and transparency mode. And from the initial reviews I've been reading, it sounds like they're pretty dang close to the performance of AirPods Pro, which start at $250. These also come with 3 customizable rubber tips depending on what fits in your ear best. So I love my AirPods Pro, and I've gotten very comfortable with them, and I love the active noise cancellation, and Apple's transparency mode is incredible. So now knowing that these are starting $100 cheaper at $150, yes, that's $10 cheaper than Apple's base AirPods, this already gravitates my attention. And on top of that, they actually have color options, which I'm a big fan of. I've been asking the AirPods to come in more than just basic white for many, many years now, and they still haven't. And these happen to be catering towards my favorite colors. There's a black pair and a red pair. Both look pretty impressive to me. So once again, check yes, good value. Check yes, got active noise cancellation. And on top of that, it charges via USB-C. So another check of approval from Tailosive Tech, because I think USB-C is the best port. I personally charge my AirPods wirelessly though, and that's sadly where Beats Studio Buds start to show some of the X's for me, because I really love the simplicity and ease of just dropping my AirPods on any Qi charger and they can start charging. I use the MagSafe puck, even though they're not magnetic, it still works pretty well. And it bums me out a bit that the Beats Studio Buds don't have those, but with the price being so low, I think that's a compromise a lot of people are going to be willing to make, especially knowing now you can get active noise cancellation in a wireless earbud cheaper than $160 and still have that one-tap pairing method with iOS devices. But there was something else that kind of confused me about this release. So they do have the simple open the case up and suddenly you can pair them with your iPhone. You don't have to go into settings and Bluetooth and everything. But simultaneously, these Beats actually do not have the H1 or W1 chip. So I'm not sure if this is the first, but I believe it's one of the first pairs of headphones that are technically from Apple. I know they're Beats, but come on, Apple's owned Beats for a long time now. And they allow the one-tap pairing method without the H1 or W1 chip, which I haven't seen in Apple's headphones before. And the downside of not having H1 or W1 essentially means that you don't have the ecosystem of pairing. So if you want to easily switch them over to your iPad or your Mac, I don't believe they will suddenly show up in your sound preferences like AirPods do. So that might be a bit of a gripe some people have with them. And not having H1 or W1 means that you don't have that spatial audio head tracking with video content. They do still have spatial audio when you're just listening to Apple Music. So I think that's probably a more applicable form of spatial audio. I didn't find the head tracking thing to be super useful when viewing content with AirPods, but if you do care about that feature, I guess these do not have that. Although, as an overall package, I think these have tremendous value, and they're definitely going to be something I consider recommending people over typical AirPods. As we're coming out of the pandemic, and there's probably some people going on flights a bit more regularly, or if you think AirPods Pro seem appealing because they have that active noise cancellation, and you prefer the customizable rubber tip instead of the universal fit that basic AirPods have, and I also will kind of agree that the older AirPods design has that very long stem. It's very iconic, but also very dated look. It's been around for like 4 or 5 years now. And if you're sick of that and you were hoping for more color options, and you also want active noise cancellation, and if you're more of a fan of USB-C and you're trying to abandon the lightning cable as much as possible, this is a pretty solid pair of headphones, and the audio quality from what I've read is pretty decent. I obviously don't have a pair early access because I'm not on Tim Cook's nice list, but as soon as I can try out a pair of these things, I'd be very, very interested to hear how they sound and hear how transparency mode and active noise cancellation work, which you can control simply just by holding the side of them, similar to AirPods Pro. But if you didn't like the stem on AirPods and you wanted them to ditch that design, this is going to allow you to do that while still incorporating them pretty tightly within the Apple ecosystem. Though I'll agree it's very weird for them to not get H1 or W1, because like all the Beats headphones have had those for years. And you do actually take a little bit of a hit in battery life, so if you're not using active noise cancellation or transparency mode, these things will last 8 hours per bud, which is pretty good. But if you are using active noise cancellation or transparency mode, then it goes down to 5 hours, which is about the same as AirPods Pro actually, if not a little bit better, but it's the charge case itself that does not have that much capacity. So if you're not using either of those modes and you're just listening to music, the charge case can allow for 24 hours of full listening time. But if you are using active noise cancellation or transparency mode, you probably will be, then this charge case allows for around 16 hours of full battery life. But honestly, AirPods Pro battery life with the charge case has been insanely good for me. Obviously, it's going to depend on how much you use them, but I don't charge my AirPods Pro for like 6 or 7 days at a time. So if you could save $100 on your headphones and you just have to charge them a little bit more frequently, but you still get the one-tap pairing method, you still get active noise cancellation, sound quality is going to be pretty good. The charge case also seems to have more of a matte frosted finish, which I'm kind of a fan of. Some people don't like it, but I'm kind of getting tired of the old glossy plastic that we've had on AirPods for years, and I think these look really cool. And I'm not really that big of a Beats fan. I just kind of occasionally talk about them when they do something interesting, and to me, this is literal AirPods competition that actually has quite a few features over standard AirPods. So I'm curious if you guys are intrigued by this price point in this feature set, or is the H1 chip and that automatic switching between Apple devices within your ecosystem a deal breaker? Feel free to let me know. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you guys in the next one.